Welcome back to Almost Live here at the Streaming Media West 2016 show. I've got Dave here with me. Dave, tell me about your company and what your title is.
Yeah, so I'm the VP of Marketing at Epiphan Video, and we're really focused on capture, stream, record of live event production. So that's what we do.
And last year we talked about something called the Pearl, and you've got the Pearl-2 now. Tell me what the Pearl is in sort of a nutshell.
Okay, sure. The Pearl itself came out about 2 years ago, and it was basically a mixing, streaming, switching, and recording box all in one. So multiple inputs in, and then switch between them, mix them together, and then stream and record out your output.
Okay, got it.
And Pearl-2 is really the evolution of that. So we moved up the number of inputs from 4 to 6. The processing power is a little more hefty. And most notably, we added 4K capability to it. So the original Pearl was all up to HD, and then this Pearl-2 is now handling 4K.
And are the inputs on it primarily HD SDI inputs?
We got a mix. So on the original Pearl, we had 2 VGAs plus 2 HDMIs plus 2 SDIs.
Okay.
On the new box, we've got the 4 HDMIs, 2 of which are 4K capable, and then we've got 2 12G SDIs.
Okay, so 12G SDIs on there, very nice. Yeah. So essentially you could have 2 4Ks and 4 1080p's coming in.
You could, or even on the HDMIs, you could have 2 4K HDMIs plus 2 4K cameras on the SDIs.
Oh, on the SDIs.
So we could have 4, yeah.
So you literally could do a 4 4Ks switch.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, one of the things you mentioned to me before we started recording, you have the ability to actually go in and do windowing and select different parts of the screen to output lower resolutions. And by lower resolutions, we mean 1080p, right?
It could be 1080, it could even be 720. Or I mean, if you wanted to go back to SD, you could do that. But typically guys are trying it at 1080 is the most popular, but we even have guys going into some venues where all they're getting out is 2 megabits or a megabit and a half. So they're trying to stream out at 720 still. So they're taking little shots, cutting out little pieces from that 4K frame, and then switching between them as though they have multiple cameras.
So it's effectively virtual switching off of a single camera input?
Exactly.
Okay, nice.
Exactly.
And can you assign, if you have, say, 2 4K cameras, can you assign 2 windows to one of the 4K cameras and 2 to another 4K?
Yeah, there's flexibility there. You can create 3 on one and 2 on the other, or whatever you like. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What other types of inputs do you have on there?
Well, we've upgraded the audio. We used to have TRS. They were balanced, but they were TRS.
Sure.
That confused a lot of our users because they look at that jack and think, is that a balanced input? Is that?
Mackie got away from that years ago because it confused people so much.
So we found the same thing. So we learned and we put XLRs on the box.
Okay, so you got Canons on there. How many XLR inputs?
We got 4 XLR inputs in there.
All right, nice.
And we've really boosted up the headroom too. So you got, it's all lined up for plus 4 dBu for pro level mixers, and then we got 20 dB of headroom above that. So we really boosted up the audio portion of it, as well as adding the 4K capability.
And do you have any AES or SPDIF inputs on there?
No, we don't. Everything is analog inputs or embedded audio on the SDI or HDMI.
So essentially you could carry the AES through the SDI embed.
Correct.
How many channels of embed can you do on the audio side?
Right now it's just 1, but the hardware is capable of doing more, and that's something we'll be adding in the future to the software.
Will you essentially do stereo pairs on the embeds? Or?
That's the way they're set up right now, is we assume that you're using channel 1 and 2 on the embeds and that they're a stereo pair. But when we expand that out, we'll have freedom to split those up.
And is that ultimately going to be a firmware upgrade because the hardware is capable of doing it?
It is, yeah. And one of the scenarios we see is the multilingual scenario, right? So in that case, they're not always stereo pairs. You got monaural mics coming in, and one's French, one's English, one's Italian, and they want to do all that
so
together.
the old SAP model where you could actually select each of those. Okay. What's the price point on the unit?
Price points, we have 2 price points because one has the 4K capabilities. If you buy it with all the 4K capabilities, it's about $8,000. If you buy it without that, which you can upgrade later just as a firmware upgrade, then it's $6,000, and that gets you the 6x HD kind of functionality.
And what kinds of, is it houses of worship? Is it venues that are using it? Is it webcasters that do portable systems?
It's all of that. We've even got corporate guys. We got them using user experience labs where they got multiple cameras on the subject. They're capturing from the device that they're actually using. So UX Labs has been big. Corporate video just for town halls and that kind of stuff, as well as kind of set up and tear down live production stuff. Has been really big. Education's still big for Pearl, whether it's in the classroom doing the lecture capture or whether they're even going out in the field and doing graduation ceremonies and other special events.
And I could really see 4K as being a solution where if you had the windowing capability, you could put a window on the PowerPoint and a window on the lecturer, where before you've had to have 2 cameras to do that type of thing.
Yeah, there's a couple ways to do that. One is as you said, window just the slides separately from the user. We can bring the slides in as its own feed as well, and switch to those. But yeah, we see people creating a tight shot at the podium, but then cutting away to the wide shot.
Nice. Okay.
And especially when they have large panels, if you got 6 or 7 people at a table, you can have an individual shot of each of those, yeah. And one of the examples we've been using just lately was the recent debates in the US here for the presidential election. They had podiums that were maybe 25 feet apart.
Right.
And for a lot of the broadcast, what you saw was 2 8x9 cutaways.
Exactly, right next to each other.
Right next to each other, and that's exactly the scenario that we see people trying to do.
Got it. So it's Hollywood squares, or in that case, Hollywood twos.
Exactly, where the distance between the 2 subjects is great in the wide shot, and you want to just compress that and bring them right together. So
yeah, because there really wasn't anything in between there. There were words of the Constitution occasionally, but that didn't really fill the space. There should have at least been 2 ferns.
Exactly.
All right, Dave, appreciate your time. Again, this is Almost Live here at Streaming Media West 2016.